Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's my son, Carl. How you doing, Carl?
What's up, everybody?
We were just recording today about the $100 million debacle at Cracker Barrel. You know, that guy they've had like for 35 years, that old guy sitting up there? I found his name. I got it in my notes. But they did away with the branding. And they started to get more woke, since 2013. There's been killing. You'd think they would know that you don't, after Bud Light and after, Target, you don't mess with your core constituents. Your core, it's like conservative old mom and pop middle America. This isn't coastal elites going to Cracker Barrel. Anyway, the deal is, I got some inside information as to what happened and who the consultants were. I'm gonna drop some stuff on you in a minute. But this is the most amazing moment to watch the country push back when woke shows up. Now people aren't quiet about it. They just say no, and it's a fascinating moment. Trump is actually challenging the licensing of ABC and NBC News and saying, "Why don't you pay for a license? Why are you giving something?" Why are you getting something for free when you're a propaganda network anyway? You should be buying your licenses. I mean, he is hitting everything from the Kennedy Center, bam, bam, bam. And what this means is, this is a moment, I'm telling you got to grab it, for open doors of influence in institutions. This is the time, running for office, building your business, going to the top of the mountain. I talked for years about mountains. In fact, I've got a product now called the Watchman's Deck, which deals with, I taught on the emerging order of kings and priests, the opening of gates, the doors that are opening. And what's great about it is the hidden wealth, the relationships you've got that'll open doors for you and create this. Relationships are currency, my friend, and you have them. And God wants you to be able to build a relational network that'll help you achieve the dream that you've got. I want you to get a gift. It's called the Watchman's Deck for your gift of any amount. Nations are actually moving right now in a unique way. I want you to order this teaching, and you just, for your gift of any amount, it can be yours, and I want you to get it. Would you do that? Go to lancewallnau.com/watchman, and you'll be glad you did. God bless you. Here's a controversial issue. Trump cracks down on anti-American flag burners with potential jail time. How do you feel about that? I'm shocked at the number of First Amendment free speech Christians who are all freaking out about that. Let me tell you something. Go check out and see if there's anybody doing jail time for burning an LGBTQ flag, a pride flag. And you're going to find there are certain states that are putting people in jail for burning the pride flag. Why? Because it's an act of hate speech. Well, I think it's a hate speech when you burn the American flag. It's disrespectful to all the veterans who died, who came home in coffins wrapped in that flag. Now, I don't care what the logic of the liberal Supreme Court is on that. I think a more common sense approach is that there's no real justification for the desecration and burning or urinating on the American flag in public. I think it's an act of provocation. So, flag burning order has ruffled a lot of people's feathers, but Trump didn't mind it. He signed an executive order aimed at prosecuting those, in his words, who desecrate the flag. An act, he says, and it's meant to intimidate those, that the act of burning the flag is meant to intimidate and threaten violence against Americans. Now, he had to use some vague language because, of course, all the free speech advocates would jump down his throat. But like I said, nobody was jumping down the throat of people that were being, taken to court over other flags being burned. But primarily, he says he wants Pam Bondi to focus on cracking down on foreign nationals. So it really irritates him to have illegals or foreign nationals in the country that hate America and are stirring up anti-American sentiment and burning the flag. So he's calling on the Department of Justice and State Department to revoke visas for non-citizens who burn the American flag. And meanwhile, while this is going on, Pam Bondi had made an announcement about a major case that was won by the Department of Justice against a prominent drug lord. And it happened with the Mexican cartel kingpin Ismael Zambada, also known as El Mayo. He pleaded guilty yesterday to drug trafficking And as a top official in the Sinaloa cartel, he's expected to be put in for life imprisonment in January. Bondi says Elmira will spend the rest of his life behind bars and die in a U.S. federal prison where he belongs. He's one of the most powerful drug traffickers in the world. His partner was El Chapo. He took over for him and was co-founders of the Sinaloa cartel, where they brutally murdered multiple people, flooded the country with drugs, and the reign of terror is over. But I had another article here, and I wish I could find it. It was kind of interesting. Oh, well, it's not here now. But it has to do with the fact that a large part of the war in Chicago that Trump wants to zero in on is the fact that Chicago is the location of where the cartel is having Mexican shootouts and gang turf battles over the control of the fentanyl and drug trade. And since Chicago is all thumbs at being able to address it, and it's an FBI priority under Kash Patel, that's one of the reasons why Trump says, I'm going to swing over to Chicago. It's not because of the carjackings and stuff like that. It's primarily because he's going to crack down on the cartel underground there, and he can't talk much about what his plans are. But that's why he's teasing out Chicago, right? Meanwhile, on Frostbite Falls, John Bolton may be in hot water as the FBI investigation expands beyond his controversial book. Now, what's the deal with John Bolton? Now, do you remember Hillary Clinton with her private server? Oh, you guys, some of you whippersnappers might be too young for that. So Hillary Clinton, she had her private server where the Clinton Foundation was doing. I mean, how did this foundation, they had this private foundation, her and Bill had like $100 million in it. And how does that happen? How does Stacey Abrams get $2 billion over here in Georgia? Democrats run this machinery. And then Trump came down and shut it all down. He shut the whole money machine down. He hit USAID and all this other stuff. But now, you see, this has been the way business is done in Washington. And I think everybody knew it was done this way for a long time. You basically have your own private little email server. Then you got your monitored one, your your government can look at. But here's the deal. He was, according to sources, Bolton's home and office is tied to an investigation that reaches beyond just some of his controversial books exposing stuff against Trump. But with respect to Bolton, it's possible that he was releasing and selling information, or that he was sharing information that was highly classified with family members and with others, because it provided him with an opportunity for his own financial enhancement. The search warrants were authorized by a judge based on evidence collected overseas by the CIA. And it's going to be interesting to see how this works, because some say that Trump is just going after his enemies. I say that Trump's enemies should make sure they're not doing anything illegal, like Adam Schiff and Letitia James, all these Obama-era officials who are actually claiming multiple residences and getting financial advantages in their tax forms by falsifying data, which evidently is a common practice, because you're in California, but you're claiming a residence maybe in Maryland, or you're in New York, as Letitia James, you're claiming a residence in Virginia as your primary residence, which is kind of hard to explain when you got a full-time job as an attorney general in New York. But, listen, man, Trump had a whole 4 years to study after four trips to court, and a threatened 100 years in prison and $500 million of personal fines. He had a chance to really develop a philosophy about how the legal system operates. And now his enemies are discovering that he's not going after them like they went after him. He's simply exposing stuff that needs to be looked at. The reason I'm bringing it up is because I think that he's doing a house cleaning on corrupt practices, and it's going to have a salutary and a beneficial effect on many Americans. So as far as the this subject goes, we don't know enough yet to be able to comment. But Cracker Barrel is another story. How's that for a segue? Right to Cracker Barrel. But I mean, I can't believe that they lost $100 million of market share in the last week. Cracker Barrel. Who would have thought? And it was because they went through a wokenizing rebranding. Here's a note for corporations. I think Bud Light and Target and a bunch of other stores all ought to, they ought to have a sabbatical and go educate any consultant that wants to do a woke rebrand on a major brand in America. The American people don't, now they're not embarrassed to tell you, leave it alone. What's the matter with you? Well, what they do is they took old Uncle Herschel, old man leaning on the Cracker Barrel. Well, that's Uncle Herschel. And so you got this old man for 45 years. He's got his elbow on the Cracker Barrel, kind of like. And what's happening now is they're redoing all the interiors. Now, of course, you want to do a facelift now and then and clean it up. But what they made some mistakes in the way in which they've been moving over the last couple of years. A lot of people are joking about it, saying it looks more like an IKEA than it does Cracker Barrel. And the new logo, which they no doubt there it is. There's old Uncle Herschel over there leaning on the barrel. Well, they got rid of the barrel on the old guy, and now it's Cracker Barrel, which I agree, it does kind of look like clip art. But the CEO, you see, CEOs, here's the deal with CEOs. They can't admit they just lost $100 million. They have to convince the board and everyone else, oh, no, this is just MAGA conservative, blowback. Julie Massino went on Good Morning America to defend the redesign. And she did this in Orlando last week. Basically what she said, I'll save you the gruesome, speech there. She said, hey, everybody wants to get the remodeling as soon as possible. They want to know, when can I get on the list? Well, modernizing the interior, maybe giving it a fresh paint facelift in brighter colors. That wasn't really what was going on that caused the blowback. I think it was Megan Basham who said that the company really was trying to distance itself from its traditional Southern roots and its association with family values. Back in the 90s, the company famously required restaurant staff to display normal heterosexual values, while in recent years, Cracker Barrel went on a woke turn. And from that, and in 2023, its social media accounts really started sparking controversy when those iconic rocking chairs turned into rainbow flaming rocking chairs celebrating Pride Month. And then when Duck Dynasty came out praying and, Phil, like Jesus, they pulled all their merchandise out of the store. Phil Robertson, he was too outspoken a Christian. They didn't want that homosexuality conversation going on because Phil Robertson said, no, the Bible says it's a sin. So their management team continued down that woke trail and heading that division at the same time. The management training leader was part of an advisory council for the LGBTQ activist group, the Human Rights Campaign. They always have good names for things. Human Rights Campaign. And so they just went off the rails. They continued on with the founding partner of brand consulting, Beck & Stone, made the comment that Cracker Barrel was led by its business leaders who didn't understand its customer base and basically reoriented the organization to look like the consultants. Note to all of you, beware of getting a high-powered woke consulting agency to come tell you how to market to America in the MAGA era. So anyway, what you've got now is a real problem. Now, Cracker Barrel admits, perhaps we didn't go about doing the rollout as effectively as we should have. Well, I guess that's an understatement. But like I said, after Target and after Bud Light, you could say that America is actually undergoing a counter-revolutionary moment, and you should enjoy that. Well, that's it for now. We'll be back again tomorrow with some more.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate